we need to talk about AI in music. I was exposed to Suno yesterday, Suno. I have no affiliation, but someone showed me Suno. I saw some posts about it. I've seen their ads with notable musicians, at least creative or creator musicians on social media that have been promoting this app or this website or this AI tool, whatever you want to call it. And it's quite concerning. And I just wanted to get my thoughts out there about AI and see what you guys think about AI and music and just AI in the broader sense in the long term. And so first off, I had someone show me this Suno app, and I want to share with you what it created off of some simple prompts. It's not showing me what I wrote in yesterday. It saved the song, but I wrote in something in the prompt. I'll share my screen here. Something in this prompt up in song description. I wrote like metal, rock, fusion, jazz, instrumental, A Dorian, a key center, and I think I even put like backing track, no melody, because I was just trying to build a backing track to practice over, and but it didn't listen to the backing track, no melody part. But it gave me some pretty insane results, and the one I wanted to show you specifically was this rhythm changes one, which is really funny. When you click on these songs, it names them for you. Oh, I also put rhythm. Complex rhythm or rhythm section or something, because I just wanted a rhythm section. So that's probably why it says rhythm changes. It's nothing to do with jazz rhythm changes. But anyway, it has my name on it as if I wrote it. Rhythm Changes by Mike Salo. Not really. But this is the tune. I want you to listen to this. It's pretty wild. All AI. I didn't input any music. Sounds like a Greg Howe ripoff, but the vibrato is insane. And I don't know to what extent this is, complete 100% AI generated on the spot, or if you put in the same prompts, you'll get a similar result. If it's like kind of a catch-all, like, if you write fusion, jazz, metal, it's going to give you basically this list of these types of stereotypical things, and it's all going to basically sound like this. I don't know to what extent this kind of library is and what that even means in AI. But it is pretty wild. And the thing that's concerning for me is not that, people are going to lose their creative jobs or anything. I mean, I really think live music is tough to replicate without humans and live people. So that'll always be a thing. I think, one-on-one coaching and education is going to be hard to replicate through AI. I do worry about like pre-recorded courses. If you get an AI with 10 years from now that can basically digest all of these courses that are online and just regurgitate something that is even a better explanation of certain topics, that worries me because it's pre-recorded. The next generation of musicians worries me because this is just the beginning of this stuff. And if they're just exposed to this at the get-go, like, think of a kid who's 6 years old right now. Well, in 10 years, 16, in your teenage years, that's about the time when you start to really get into music and write. That's at least when I did. And so if those tools are so hyper developed and they're available and there's the ease of access, it's just going to be flooded with all this AI stuff. And when I say flooded, that reminds me of another thing that does worry me about this, which is the pace at which this stuff can happen. So I put in a prompt and it gave me 4 songs within seconds. And I mean, when I say seconds, I mean literal, like 5 seconds. All of a sudden, there's just 4 songs here. And, they have this, and this is not me trying to promote this product. I don't know how I feel about this product yet. I don't know the scope of how it can be used in a good way as opposed to a destructive way in the music industry. But there are like different versions of Suno. There's their version 5.0 or whatever, which is like what we just listened to, and then there are lower versions. And so it gives you a few examples. And I have a free account. So like here's another example that's completely different. Actually, the other one was cooler, this one. Tell it's not as high quality. This is like version 3.5 or something. But same prompt, completely different tune. Sounds more like Marcos Fogli or something. Not as good at phrasing, but look at version 5. The phrasing on these. This one sounds a little fake. That first one I showed you has insanely realistic things. So now those are my worries. My worries about the pace at which AI products can be pushed out. So if AI gets more normalized within 10 years, it's going to be so much more advanced. And not to mention outside of the music realm, that AI musicians or people who use AI will be able just to shit out albums after albums after albums after albums, especially with our current streaming model. You imagine people just releasing and releasing and releasing and releasing on a absurd, rate, to the point where there are hundreds and hundreds of their songs out on the streaming services, and you think, okay, well, that doesn't matter if they don't get streamed. But if they make it on the playlists and they make it into, if they know how to work the system, well, these songs will show up. And, the more songs, you would imagine the more songs on these streaming services, even if they each only get 1,000 listens, that's still, 1,000 times 100. I mean, so they could be making a little bit of money off that, 100,000, like say, listens per month. I'm not sure of the rate now, but I thought 1 million was like, I don't know. I don't remember what the rates were on that. But there is money that you could make off this. And it worries me, not to say that like, oh, people are going to make millions off this. It's more of like, there's going to be some young people who are going to go, oh, well, I can get a little bit of streaming revenue if I put these on streaming services. So if I put like album after album after album after album, even if it's just a little bit of streaming revenue, someone younger can, doesn't need much. So that's one thing that I don't sound like an old guy now, like the younger generation, but I guess it's just something that's I've thought about, of just how fast this stuff can come out, because you can have a finished product in seconds. And which is like, the argument to this is, well, that's, it's AI. It's always going to sound a little bit like lifeless, which I agree. But the lifeless part isn't what me being able to create something isn't what worries me. It's the pace at which AI can create. It's something that I would have to work all day to write and finish and mix and master a single song. I've done it before. You can do it in a day. You can do it, and it takes it seconds. So literally like a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of the time to create a whole song. And then, there's the positive sides of these things where you could see someone going, oh, I have this, someone who doesn't play drums, for example. Oh, I have this song and I've recorded it and I don't know, how to put drums to this. I don't have any drummer friends. I don't have any bass player friends. I'm kind of isolated in this, where I live. I'll throw it into this and it'll add drums and it'll add bass to my thing, for a small subscription payment. Now I have a finished song, and it's part me and it's part these AI musicians. And, good for the person who can't afford all that stuff anyway, and they weren't going to hire someone anyway. But how many people are going to be like, well, why would I hire someone when I can just use this? Even though I have the money and I have the resources, why would I hire someone when this is going to do it just as fast? And I'm not saying right now. I'm saying 5-10 years from now. That's where it gets a little bit weird. I also see other opportunities with this where it's like, I work with many bands, and often there are subs needed. A lot of artists in town. There's a small pool, not small pool, but there's like, these groups of musicians who often play together, and we all kind of play in a bunch of different bands. And sometimes, gigs get offered, and it's like, well, I can't play that gig. All right, well, we want to do it. We'll get a sub for this gig. That whole reason I'm saying that is, if you have a whole album out or even rough recordings, you could throw it into one of these AI tools and they could make you a chart for one of the instruments. So, hey, we need this keys player last minute, and we don't have any charts written for these songs. Well, put them in an AI, it'll shit out some charts. That seems like a pretty, cool thing. I mean, someone's in the comments is going to say, just write the charts out yourself. Well, yeah, but if you're in a bind, what do? You just go, all right, here's some recordings, learn them yourself. And then the musician, has to spend hours of their day, transcribing and writing out these songs. I've done it, and it sucks. I'd much rather have someone send me charts that are professionally done and good to go. I'd be like, oh, sweet. I'll just use these charts and learn the song. So there's things like that. There's a million other things. I guess the real concern here in the music world, again, is the rate at which this stuff can come out, and the cutting corners that, we might think people would have integrity and go, well, I'll just hire someone to do it. And I want to, hire my friends to play on this. But, it's not the current musicians I'm necessarily worried about. It's the younger generation. It's the people who are going to be in their teenage years in 10 years when AI is insane. It's going to be wild in 10 years. And if you don't think it is, then they're either going to stop it in its tracks, or you haven't even been paying attention. So that's the only two things. It's like, if it is not stopped in its tracks right now, it will be doing insane things in 10 years. It will be doing it's the music that it's going to crap out is going to be indistinguishable. The other thing it brings me to, I think this is going to happen. I think, and that sounds so gloom and doom. This is more it's this combination of fascination with me and concern. I'm like fascinated by it, but I'm also concerned by it. And so I think, think bands will get to a point, and maybe not current bands again, maybe younger up and coming bands, they're going to be able to put their entire discography into one of these things and be like, make our next album. And it's going to shit out an album that's going to be just as good as what they would have created in months and months and months of work. And then at that point, they can decide, okay, do we take that and then record all of it ourselves and just use this because it's based off of us anyway? Or will they take that and just go, all right, it's done. Cool. Let's put it out. It sounds great. Again, I'm not saying right now, I'm saying 5-10 years down the road, maybe more. And there's going to be comments, well, it's not going to sound real, blah, blah, blah. It will. It will sound real. In 10 years, it will sound exactly the way you want it to sound. And it's going to be very hard to discern. And now take an original band away where it's replicating that original band. And then just think back to the prompts. I had this conversation the other day with a student of mine, and we were talking about how not only will it create this amazing version of whatever prompts you give it, it's also going to give you the best singer, the best guitar player, the best bass player, the best drummer, the best lyrics, and the best songwriting. Because it's going to curate that. Oh, sorry. And that's another scary thing. And again, maybe not now, but it will. He showed me a tune that he put in some prompts, the student of mine, and it was basically like prompts that would give you something along the lines of like I don't know, it was maybe like Bring Me the Horizon, or was it like Spirit Box or something. It was kind of in that like modern metal thing, and the vocals sounded great. You know, you don't always get a great vocalist or like a pristine tone out of the guitar, like a great drummer. I mean, not every band has like all of those elements, and many do. Don't get me wrong. But that was another thing that came to mind of like, oh yeah, in a few years, it's just going to give you the very best version of the whole package. And that's, again, going to be pretty crazy. Now, the bright side of AI that I think is where it should be being more used, and this may ruffle some feathers too, is, you know, I think, you know, someone pointed out today when I kind of put out my feelers on social media of what people think about this. Someone said, well, I hope it cures cancer, but otherwise I don't like it. And as simple of a phrase as that was, I totally agreed. It was like, yeah, I mean, that would be obviously great. I mean, now if you're more religious, you might be like, that's playing God. But if you know, that stuff aside, you might have the same thoughts. It's like, yeah, well, that would be great. You know, if AI could cure uncurable diseases right now. You know, my mom's dealing with cancer. I have several friends. I mean, I'm from Iowa, which is literally the number one geographical cancer cases in the world. Like most per geographical area, Iowa is, weirdly enough. And so I know plenty of people. And so that comes to mind. And that would be great. Obviously, that would be a great thing for AI to do. But it's being used right now in social media and all these kind of like entertainment ways, which is insane to me. That's how we're using it right now, or at least that's how it's showing up in the mainstream. There's probably other things going on, but you know, I see Zuckerberg out there talking about super intelligent AI or something. I saw him just talking about that, and it's like, you know, these guys are moving in this direction where they have to be the first. So we look at these bigger, wealthier corporations and we go, they're just trying to make money, which is true. They are trying to make money. But a lot of these people have also like gotten themselves into a corner where like, well, if they don't do it, someone else is going to do it. And so I'm not saying this is the way they should be thinking about this, but I see it in social media. Just with like normal creatives, if I don't do this and I don't talk about this and I don't make this happen, someone else is going to do it, and then they're going to get all the glory, and which is like maybe is not the best way to look at stuff. I mean, luckily I haven't got myself in that corner, but it happens with social media people all the time. And so anyway, back with Zuckerberg, it's like, so you see these bigger, wealthier people that are, you know, in charge of all, not in charge, but like the kind of like elite tech people who are curating all this stuff. Well, like I said, if Zuckerberg doesn't do it, well, then Elon's going to do it. If Elon doesn't do it and Zuckerberg don't do it, then, you know, Jeff Bezos is going to do it. And then there's a list of other people that we don't even talk about as much that will do it if they don't do it. And so that's what they're probably thinking. And so it's just perpetuating this thing and moving it along even faster because they're like, well, it's the thing right now. And I need the glory. But anyway. And, so I don't see it going away is my point. I see it only getting more intense, and, to what extreme, I do not know. Hopefully we get some good out of it. And, anyway, that, is my thoughts on that. I really want to know your guys' thoughts. So if you leave comments about this stuff, maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. My whole, I guess, opinion on this right now is that I'm very torn. And I'm very torn. If you know me, this is usually how I react to most stuff. I try to see things from both sides and then try to figure out what makes the most sense. And usually I get stuck in the middle. But the things I'm seeing, like positive things, you know, like there are obviously ways you can use this stuff to streamline everything you do, you know, get more work done, get work done faster, make, you know, a certain aspects of the industry a lot easier and streamlined, and making all the important things, giving all the more important things more time, and not having to deal as much with the tedious aspects of certain parts of the music industry, things like, you know, writing charts or finding, if you don't have any money, hiring someone out to play something. And there's much more things. I'm kind of blanking right now on that. But and then there are obviously all the negative things you see that I've pointed out. And so, and then there's the aspect of what I just said with Elon, and not Elon, but Mark Zuckerberg. If you're in an industry, you're going to see it that way too. Whether you think you will or not, you're going to see your peers and colleagues and people who are also in your industry who are going to adopt this stuff. And then they're going to get ahead, and they're going to move forward, and they're going to, work faster, get more opportunities. Things are just going to, it's a pace at which things can come out and they can work, which, output is going to trump anything. How much output do you have? And so if you have these people in your field who are doubling, tripling, quadrupling their output from using AI, you might feel like you'll be left in the dust. And that's part of me where I'm like, that's a very big part where you're like, okay, do I, if you can't beat them, join them type thing? Do I lean into this? Because if I don't, I'll be left behind, because there's going to be a bunch of people who are going to, and then they're going to get ahead and have more output. Or do you stick to your guns, and do you keep going the way you're going and sort of ignore it? I don't know if I have the answer. It's very, very hard to tell. But in the short term, I see little things, helping with this. Like I said, like you have a podcast, well, throw it into AI, it'll edit it for you. That seems, but then you're going to have an editor who's going, hey, that could have been my work, So it's like, there's positives for the person using it, and then negatives for basically anyone outside of it. Besides the consumption of the person on the outside being able to consume whatever you make, there's this whole list of people that are indirectly or maybe directly affected, that would have been part of the equation that are now not. And that's where it gets kind of dicey. It benefits the individual who's using it. It does not benefit, and then it somehow affects this huge line of people maybe that would have otherwise been called. Or, you could argue that they wouldn't have been called, because the person would have maybe done it themselves anyway. Like myself, I do a lot of my stuff in-house. So like if I throw it into AI, I wasn't going to hire someone to do it anyway. I would have edited it myself anyway. And, maybe at some point, I have hired people out before. So anyway, I'm ranting on this. So it is a real thing. You get yourself into this kind of corner where it's like, do I use it or do I not? And what are the effects on my career or what I'm doing if I don't use it? And what are my effects if I do use it? And because how do you affect the people around you? Anyway, would really like to hear your thoughts on this. So leave a comment. I know I'm ranting on this a bit, but I think it is a conversation in music and in the music industry that needs to be had. And I don't know who's wrong and who's right at this point. But I know that it is something that needs to be discussed, and I know it's something that's not going away. And you may think it is, and there's part of me that hopes it does, or hopes it gets halted. But as we've seen with many other things in tech, it's really hard to stop that once it gets going. Social media, is a good example of that. They're trying to stop TikTok. Doesn't sound like it's going to happen, but it'll still be other places. If it stops, if they halt it in the United States, there it is again. There's like, well, if they don't do it, if I don't do it first, they will. And so who's they? Well, if the United States halts or what anything puts regulations on it, well, maybe China won't, maybe Japan won't, maybe the UK won't, maybe another country won't. I'm not singling them out for any reason. They're just, other advanced, there's a lot of tech in those places too. So, anyway, yeah, give me your thoughts. I'm not meaning for this to be gloom and doom. I just wanted to share my thoughts here. So, would love to hear what you guys think as well. So I'm going to show you a few more examples of these AI tunes. But before that, I wanted to end on a positive note where there are certain things within music that won't be as affected. And I think you can't really replicate with AI. Things like live shows. I think playing live and playing out live is going to be more important than ever. And I think hopefully this might even bring some sort of like boost to live shows, that human interaction, that environment at a club that can't be replicated by AI. Until maybe we're all in VR goggles or something. But at least that's still there. And I think playing out live is something that's almost more important than it ever was now with AI. The other thing is like just honing a skill. You know, people love to play music. They love to write. And I don't want that to discourage people because it is enjoyable. It's the same as like, you know, people like gardening. Well, you can go to the store and get your own food, even organic stuff. But some people just have a passion for that gardening. And so even though it's something that is taken care of by someone else, there's a skill there and there's a love for the craft. And I think guitar and music is the same thing. So even though there's AI, doesn't need to be discouraging because there's a love for the craft and the skill and growing that skill and craft, which brings me to the other thing, which is like one-on-one coaching. All my students, you know, we have like a rapport, like a relationship. There's a back and forth, and it would be very hard to replicate that. So many of my students, they take lessons with me because they don't want to be watching pre-recorded lessons to learn. They want to learn from someone who's been doing it for a long time, someone they can, shoot ideas off of, get feedback from, ask questions. And so, you know, those things that are very, the human parts of the art will never go away. So there's the positive thing. Anyway, on to some more examples. Check these out. They're pretty wild. Let's listen to three more that I had made in Suno. This first one, I put in something like 90s progressive rock, metal, and odd time signatures and stuff like that, trying to evoke some sort of like Dream Theater meets Opeth type thing. And this is what it gave me. The song is called When the Circus Leaves Town. The singing on this one is crazy. Like what? Okay. Anyway, that's wild. This other one I kind of messed up. I forgot to put in the genre, but I put a bunch of like adjectives for sounds, and I put polyrhythmic, atonal, groovy, syncopated, and alien, and space. And I came up with this song, which is not metal at all, but it's more impressive than what I was actually trying to get it to do. Starts with this thing, but I'm going to jump to where the actual song comes in.
Rocket man, floating in space. Will I ever understand this lonely place? Planets collide, tidal wave. Space oddity, it's just you and me. Space oddity.
I don't know. That one's called Space Oddity. It made it for me. And again, these take seconds to make. I basically have a whole album here, stuff. Let's do one more super heavy one. I asked for like the same things I asked for that last one, but I put death metal and I put groovy and like double bass and stuff. And it gave me maybe this one. This one's called Endless Putridity. Now, the one that's cool is this one. No, that's not the one. Sorry. Abduction Ritual. This was the cool one that I had. Those same things. Pinch harmonics. Sounds like Born of Osiris. Just crazy. We're doomed.